liberty, and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to this March 19th Board of Commissioners meeting. First item is public comment. If we have anyone that's not on the agenda that would like to speak, this is your opportunity. Do you have anyone? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We have Matt Neal, Rita Pearson, and I see Hillary Guffey back there as well, so I'll just announce all three of you for a 2023 Fair Council report. Good morning.
Good morning. I believe we emailed you copies of our end of the year yearly finances and how we did for the year. Just to highlight a few things that went on this year. One of the things that we did change, instead of hiring the mowing contracts out to save money, I know we discussed this last year before we did it. We bought a mower and a gator and have been using the Clinton County inmate program to take care of the grounds. And for the first year, it went off really well. Had lots of wonderful comments about, how good of a job the inmates did, and probably, some of the best years the fairground has looked, picked up, and cleaned up. And so, starting off, we're going to start off with that second year on this year, so that program is going to continue. Just to highlight a few things for the year, I think our total barn rent, we were like just shy of $10,000. Event income for the year, we were at $95,000 gross income. Winter storage for Clinton Hall and the show arena, we were at a little over $8,800. And I think we had kind of discussed on normally our $40,000 a year budget. Just kind of wanted to touch base on that, to kind of let you know that 40,000 pretty much only covers our utilities for the entire year. I think, Larita, you said we were just about 41,000.
$40,424 for utilities for last year, so that, without that money, I mean, that helps a lot. That covers all of our utilities and all of our other money that we raise from rentals or the fair, and kind of cover some of the other stuff that we do, with the mower and some of that kind of stuff, so.
Okay.
And I think with all that, one thing we kind of wanted to mention, I know I had made mention to a couple of you there in the fall, one of the projects we were wanting to look at with our building and repair fund that we really haven't used much out of the last couple of years. With this program, we would like to look at building a small workshop by the old block building. I think I discussed it, with Bert and Josh for sure one time when we ran into each other. The cost of that to get it insulated and concrete, we're looking at approximately $45,000 to build that little thing. And what that would allow us to do is, with all the people coming and going at the fairgrounds, that can have access, we would like to have a place where we can organize tools, have a place to work inside if it happens to be cold, if we got to work on a piece of equipment. But the other thing, I think with the investment in the gator and the mower, we'd like to be able to lock that in there so nobody else has access. The way we're either parking them in the cattle barn and trying to lock them up, or in Clinton Hall. Well, as you well know, there's always rentals and there's always people with access to keys. I think for a safety thing, and insurance wise, we kind of discuss this as a board and would like to bring it before you. I don't have, the estimates that we did get last fall obviously are past 90 days, so we'd have to get new ones in writing. But we were looking at right at about $45,000, and that's, with one of our board members being an electrician, helping us out, volunteering his labor to do the electric. But with right where that, we're thinking right behind the old block building that would, that we kind of work out of now, that is a disorganized mess and not near big enough for what we need to do, in terms of just being able to organize tools and have a toolbox. And I know it sounds simple, but because everything's so disorganized and unaccounted for, it seems like we lose tools and drills and hammers constantly in the last couple of years. Loretta, Hillary, am I missing anything for kind of our regroup?
I don't think, other than we did install the fence out in the infield this year for safety measures during the derby and tractor pull and things like that. The fire departments did approach us about that. And then we did, with the commissioner's help, they did do for all the painting. And then, we did have the office painted on the outside, so we did go ahead and fund that ourselves. But thanks to you guys for, picking up that tab for the painting also.
Welcome. So, well, I guess get some quotes, because I don't remember the exact number, what's in the budget. I want to say it's around 50, but that goes for some repairs at Extension as well as the fairgrounds. But get the quotes, and then we can kind of circle back around once we
Okay.
have the number.
Do you still need
Two or three.
2 or 3? Okay.
Either one will be fine.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for your support and everything that you've helped us with this year. And if you need anything, let us know.
I appreciate all you guys do. The teamwork you guys have and the effort you put into it's great. And so it goes a lot of unanswered, I guess, praise from people that don't see all the work you put behind the scenes. And we see some of it and not even all of it, but I appreciate all you guys do. So only other thing I guess I would add, do you want to announce when the fair is? I know we're a few months out.
July 13th through the 20th.
Okay, there you go. So at least people can reference.
And we
back to it.
just updated our Facebook page. Hillary just kind of updated that, and so it's still ClintonCountyFairCouncil.com, is that correct?
Yeah, it's Clinton County Fairgrounds and Rent now.
Okay.
The previous one is gonna be deactivated just because of some login issues from the previous board, so we just kind of started over. Needed to do it, but needed to be done.
Seems to be a common theme with Facebook pages. Or you had something?
No, I just, again, reiterate what Jordan just said. You guys doing a lot of work and we appreciate it. A lot of people don't see all the effort that goes into it, and it's a monumental task, to be honest. So kudos to all of your board members.
Well, I think one thing I guess I will add, and Sheriff Kelly's not here, but a big thanks to the Sheriff's Department and the deputies there, because, and I've had a lot of public comment on what a great thing that our community thinks it is, that we're getting them out there and helping, beautify the grounds and do a lot of things that normally we would have to have hired done. And so it's kind of been a program that I think is going to work out really well for the long term.
Good.
So, thank you.
Very good, thanks. Next, we have Brett Barton with an open position as well as the Centennial Contract Amendment. Morning, Brett.
Good morning. So I did have a resignation of an officer here recently, so we would like to post the field officer position as soon as possible.
No changes to your job?
It is a full-time position, and if you do have a copy of the job description, it does say 40 hours,
Okay,
but if possible, I'd like to just drop the 40 hours. If I get a candidate that only wants 32, 35, or 36 hours, I'd like to go in that direction.
okay.
It's a grant-funded position, and my board has already approved that, so.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think, wasn't you wanted to change some language from as assigned, or from 40 to as assigned up to 40?
Or up to 40, yeah, up, either way.
I think that we would be okay with that.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. And then on the amendment to from my vendor on our equipment, all we did was upgrade our alcohol monitoring device. There's no additional cost or length of terms on the contract, so just a better product, and just need a signature on that from myself.
Okay,
Just need approval.
okay.
I make the motion that our president make that signature for you.
All right, motion carries 2-0.
All right. One last thing, Jordan, our board will vote on our VOC grant for community corrections, probation, and jail treatment on the 4th of April. I've got about a 1-week window to get a signature from you on that too, so.
I can do it today.
The 4th of
Oh, I need to do
April.
it that-
I have to get approved first by my board.
Okay, all right.
I'll reach
Well,
out
just,
sometime.
yeah, let me know. I'll come by.
right,
Sign it
thank you.
for
Any questions?
Good.
Nope. Thanks, bro. I'm gonna write a note here real quick. Yeah, cool. I'll get it. All right, next up is Stephanie Harshbarger with a job description change as well. Good morning.
Morning. I was just wanting to change one of my employees' job description, more or less like her title. It's, I mean, change basically just taking out one word. It just really didn't encompass what all she did in my office. I was just wanting to remove like the scanner part of her title.
And to follow up on this, her job description started before council created the resolution with the committee. However, it, along with 3 others, went to the committee and it was approved, and then council, it was not approved by council last week. It got taken off because you were sick. Is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so we could approve it and then it'll just have to go to council at their next meeting, so.
Good. I will make the motion that we make the proper changes.
Okay, so it's approved here. It'll go to council 2-0 on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
And then I'll just follow up so we get maybe a motion on this as well, Bert. We had 3 other ones, the courthouse security supervisor and the jail training supervisor. There was an amendment on the security supervisor word, but council approved that with the change, so we need to approve that one as well as the jail training supervisor. So I'll entertain a motion for those 2.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we make the changes for both the other 2 positions to make the wording correct.
Okay, motion carries 2-0. And then the last one was, there was some discussion that I brought, and I didn't have all the information. Rodney's here with his, in terms of the title for the public health nurse, tuberculosis and communicable disease specialist. Is that correct? So after getting some more information from HR, that is the correct title. So we need to approve that one as well.
Okay.
So.
So moved.
All right, motion carries 2-0 to approve that. So all 4 of those have now been approved at the commissioner level for everyone. All right, next we have Renee Crick with the Corson proposal.
Good morning. I forwarded you 2 quotes from Corson. They take care of our fire suppression system in our equipment room. So I have 2 separate quotes. Josh was ill yesterday, so wasn't able to come down and meet with me. But the first one, for the $1,428.99, I have money in my budget for that. They did find when they come and they do their maintenance, they did find some issues with our dampers not functioning properly. But it looks like that is to this quote is to kind of investigate and see why. So, I mean, there's possible after this, they could have other things that need to be addressed. So, but I do think we probably need to go ahead and get this one approved for them to come over and look at that. The other one, I think we need to have some conversation about.
Okay.
Prior to even, I think we need to have some conversations about it. It was for $5,000, and that was for a study that they say we need to have in place. So I think we need to have some conversation about that later. But I would like you to approve the $1,428.99 quote.
Okay, any questions, Commissioner Weaver?
And that is, the 1,400 is just to establish what is necessary.
What's going
to
on,
be
yeah,
done.
the dampers in our equipment room, yeah, they were not functioning correctly. And so it's to do that and to kind of figure out what the issues are, so.
Okay.
Just kind of concerned a little bit of, a company that's I gotta pay to have them look to see if we wanna do business with them, I guess, again, or to do the repairs or whatever. I'm just not sure how. I mean, seems like if I had somebody come and look at my roof, they're not gonna charge me for looking at the roof. They're gonna charge me for when I put it in or something, but,
So they
So-
found the dampers weren't working during their inspection, so
Okay.
they're not really sure
Why?
why. Yeah, and there, I mean, I'm just guessing that there could be additional, and maybe there won't be. Maybe they find, I don't know.
but I'm still gonna pay them $1,400 to tell me that it's okay? So, you
Are
know,
they
so-
fixing the dampers? And then and then if they see something else, is that what they're doing? It's a little vague in there.
It is a little vague, and I'm not exactly
You just brought
sure.
it.
I mean, honestly,
Understand.
like, this is definitely something that, I don't know. Terry and I discussed it. Of course, I'm gonna miss Terry
big
so
time.
much. I rely on his expertise too, because, I tell you if I don't know something, and I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about fire suppression
Right. Well, I'm not trying to
things.
put you on the.
No, you're
So
fine.
Do you want to move forward, or do you want to possibly meet with Corson's yourself there and kind of go through it to see why they've, maybe that would even open the door for the 5,000 to have a deeper
Same thing.
discussion on that
Yes.
one as well.
I just wonder if we should extend it a little bit to have Josh, and I'm not trying to, but, Josh has been kind of the front runner on that.
Yeah, and like I said, he was ill. He was gonna come down yesterday, so, if you wanna table this for when Josh is better and can come down and, and maybe then he also have a conversation with Corson's to kind of.
Either,
That'd be
he-
fine
I'm
with
fine
either
with
he or
that.
I want.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
things are functioning otherwise, the fire suppression system is functioning otherwise, so, if we need to wait, I'm
I'd
fine with
like to
that.
have either one of us at least
Okay.
ask some questions about it.
All right, I'm okay with that.
Just to table it.
You
Yeah.
okay with that too then,
Yep.
Renee?
Yep.
So motion to table both quotes until there's a further conversation from
As to what
Commissioner
the expenses are.
Hewitt or Commissioner Weaver with Corson on it.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Motion carries 2-0. All right. Have Rick Campbell with a highway update. Morning, Rick.
I have a unofficial detour. I'd like the commissioners to approve Fourth State Road 38 east of Mulberry. It'd be 850 west, north to 700 north, and 700 north to 421. And I would also like to have some temporary speed limits posted on 850 and on 700 north.
And this is the route, because he called me about it. The town marshal of Mulberry as well as the town council had reached out, and this was their preferred detour route, correct?
Yes.
So support from there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I
How about
believe
the
that-
speed limits?
Yeah. What's your speed limit gonna be?
I want 30 mile per hour on 850 west and 45 on 700 north. I figure everybody's gonna use 700 north from the county line to 30, or out to 421, and it's only 20 feet wide, and they're getting off the edge, and they need to be slowed down.
Yeah.
Just temporarily. It's gonna be,
think that's
I
a good
figure there's gonna be a lot of extra traffic on that road.
When's the expected completion of the construction?
October, I believe.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right. Would you
Motion.
mind signing this?
Yep. Motion 2-0.
And also, I spoke earlier about Bridge 100 on 850 East. 850 East, 830 East. And me and Dan spoke with Civilcon about the extra parts to make that pipe a little stronger and a little longer, and it's going to be about $23,600, and I'd like to do that. It's the way it is now, it's 32 feet long. I like to make it 40 feet long, and that way we don't have to have guardrail, and we don't have to worry about equipment being able to get through there.
I support that.
It's,
It'll take 4 to 6 weeks to get parts, and once we get parts, then we'll shut the road down and tear the old one out and get it in there.
I'll make the motion that we expand and do the extra footage and work.
Can I,
8:30.
I say something about the solar farm?
Hold on one second. 2-0 on that, so we got the motion, it passes now.
Sorry.
Now go ahead.
Yeah.
I say something about zero, or about solar farm. Me and
You can say anything you want.
Bert and I went out to the solar farm yesterday and met with Luke, and they're going to pave all the roads that they used out in that area. There's 10 plus miles of road they're going to pave. The 50 that they destroyed, it'll be ground up, and there'll be a cement stabilization done, and then that road will be paved.
Okay.
So I just want everybody to know that.
And they were gonna start some here once the asphalt plant got up and going in April,
The way
right?
I understand it, they're supposed to be all done paving by the end of May.
Okay,
So
even with 50?
I don't know how long it's going to take to get that lay-down yard out of there. There's something like 30,000 tons of 53s in there. I'm going to take as many as I can
Okay,
and spread them on our gravel roads and stockpile as many as I can. I don't have a lot of room. I reached out to the city street department. Jason Forsythe said he would take some of them. And I imagine the city's got a little more room with the sewage plant and stuff, that we could stockpile a bunch of them out there.
okay,
So that's what we're looking at.
very good. Any questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
I have one thing, Rick. I'll give it to you. I pulled up because it came up last meeting, the current contract with the landfill, and it does say that the company shall assist the county with the cleanup of illegal dumping sites to promote a clean and healthy environment, providing free solid waste disposal of non-hazardous waste. So you have the option.
Do I have a copy
Yep,
of that?
this is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That helps out a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're able to haul some of that junk and debris from side ditches out there.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
good.
Okay, next we have Liz Stitzel with two items. We have the LUPAC 0324-374 with the ordinance 2024-03, as well as an area plan update. Which one you want to do first?
Yep, I think we have these two, and then unless it's maybe somewhere else in the agenda, we also have Mr. Moore, and then a mowing item. I think Kat had emailed you as a reminder, again, that we don't have a mower contracted for this next year, and fortunately, it's getting warm early. Unfortunately, it's getting warm early, and grass is starting to grow, so I think we're probably going to start mowing and issuing bills here soon. We need to know what mower to use.
I thought we discussed this at a previous meeting. and
We
said
did,
this
and
is
someone said it was going to be the same person. You guys were going to follow up on the contract, but we haven't seen a signed contract come
No.
through, and the mower called us and said he hadn't
No,
heard anything.
I told him that you guys were agreeable for him to do it again, but no, I haven't called him about the contract.
Okay.
Gotta get-
So we'll make a motion to move forward with, I believe it was Platinum who did it last year, and then we'll work on getting the
Okay.
contract. So it'll be official once we make the motion.
Perfect, awesome.
I'll make the motion that Platinum goes forward with our mowing.
Second. Motion carries 2-0 for that, so
And then
we can fine tune getting signed.
did you see in Kat's email, there was a question that he'd had for the commissioners on, it's a lot here in town that you guys have had him mow and clear for you in the city's jurisdiction. I think it may be over, I'm working from memory, it seems like it's over by the railroad somewhere. But anyway, there's some mulberry trees on that make it challenging and more expensive to maintain. I think he had an inquiry to find out whether or not the commissioners would be willing to have him go ahead and remove those mulberry trees completely from that lot to make it easier to keep maintained and in compliance with the city ordinance.
So that's on 757 Green Street, West Green Street, I believe.
Are you looking at Kat's
Yeah,
email?
I got the email.
Then yeah, that's,
Oh,
unfortunately, I don't have that address memorized, and our printer decided it wasn't going to talk to us at all this morning, so I wasn't able to.
I would say
Bring
take them
material
all-
with
take them all berries
Just get 'em down,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, then I'll let her know to let him know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whack
as soon as we got that contract signed that you guys would like that
Yep.
done. So, as far as, Other area plan commission updates, I don't think I have anything specific, other than this LUPAC.
Okay.
So, in terms of the LUPAC, the Area Plan Commission met March 5th of 2024, and they heard a petition of Robin S. Blackpaul. They have submitted a favorable recommendation to the adoption of a rezoning ordinance to rezone, it's a little less than 5 acres of ground, and there's a map that should be attached in your copy of the ordinance to show you where this is at. But the rezoning is from agricultural land to B4 general business. There are some commitments, 2 of them, and I do have a signed statement of commitments authorizing me to record this upstairs should you choose to adopt this ordinance. That'll be done today. The 2 commitments are, first, that if a business, there's going to be an automotive repair business here, and then I think they're hoping to eventually place a house back behind. It's a little bit of an odd parcel. But if that business has not obtained proper permits and completed construction in compliance with local and state rules within 1 year, then the applicant agrees the county will initiate zoning of this property back to agricultural, and a business will not be able to be placed here. And then the second one is that the applicant will grant and record an easement to the benefit of the owner of the adjacent farm ground to the immediate west, that's Carla S. Strong, assuring that access through the rezoned property for farming will remain and the field will not become landlocked. NDOT is unwilling to grant an access for the farmer separate than this shared access that's been used over the years. So with those 2 commitments, the Plan Commission heard this and has submitted to you a favorable recommendation on the rezoning.
Thank you. I was unable to be at that area plan meeting, but that was my one question, was about the access to the west, so it's in the commitments. Perfect. Any comments or questions?
Were there any negative objections?
I was not at the meeting either. You know, as it turns out, my staff did not mention that there was any controversy with this. I know that the farmer for that property behind, which is Alan Dunn, I know he was present, and his concern was the easement. The Strongs, I believe, were also present. Their concern was having an access easement, but neither, I know I talked to Alan ahead of that meeting, and he did not have an objection to the rezoning. He just wanted to make sure that they could continue farming. If the applicant is here, they may know if there were any objectors, but my staff didn't mention any controversy. I can text Kat if you'd like me to.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Robin Blackpaul.
Could you go
If
to
you
the
could,
mic
yeah.
for us, please? Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Hold my stuff.
Okay. I'm Robin Blackpaul, her owner. I was at the meeting, and the purchaser is here today. If you have any questions, there were no exception. There was agreement that it would be a compliance to objections, so there was no. So we're willing to do what we can for the property to be sold.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any other
No.
questions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make the motion that, based on the area plans recommendation, that we go forward with LUPAC number, not sure which number it was.
It's LUPAC 0324.
324
374.
That we go forward with that.
In adopt ordinance 2024-03.
Correct.
All right. Motion carries 2-0 for that to pass.
Perfect. Once that's signed and certified, then we'll get the original back from either Jerry or Britt, whichever direction it comes to us from. So, and then I think the only thing I have left, and I'm not sure if you want to discuss it now, if you have it later in your meeting, is the Forest House.
It's next, right under old business, so that might roll us right into it, so go ahead.
Okay. So, as you're aware, I was not at the last commissioners meeting. I did listen to it after the fact on YouTube. Appreciate that resource being there. And we did receive an updated letter from Mr. Moore's attorney, and I did speak with him this morning as well. But my understanding of where we're at this point is the commissioners, you need to decide whether you want to come to an agreement, and in what form to allow the house an opportunity to complete repairs, or if you wish to proceed with accepting a bid and tearing it down. In terms of should you accept an agreement, because I think if you choose to go with tearing it down, we're already kind of there, it's self-explanatory, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. But should you accept an agreement, we are now at a point where we've got a timeline of having both the house 100% completed and the septic installed by September 15th of 2024. They will have an engineer provide an analysis on the two sections of the house that there were structural concerns on, and either submit a letter stating that they are safe, whether or not they seem to be normal construction, but that they're safe, so we're protected for liability, or prescribing what repairs need to be done in order to make sure they are safe, whichever way the engineer feels. We had a conversation about whether or not a bond should be placed to help guarantee that work. And they've pointed out that there's a number of materials on the site, so that would mean, should there be bonding, we'd need to go out and verify what's there and that it's in a usable condition, and then figure out what amount, it would take should we have to finish work. Something else that they've offered that I think is actually a great idea, should you choose to go this route, is to do similar to what we do with rezonings, create a set of binding commitments that rides on the property and is recorded, detailing out the timeline and the other conditions of the agreement. What that does for us is, should we find ourselves in 6 months tearing this structure down, it's pretty Loctite that every attempt was made. And if you end up needing to enforce that to the fullest extent, now it's signed by everybody, it's fully recorded, there's no he said, she said whatsoever. Mr. Moore did come in and pay the $100 fine. So that's been taken care of. I verified that with my staff, and I believe his attorney has a receipt as well showing that. He does have a septic permit. I would note that this timeline actually works well from a planning perspective because a permit is good for 6 months. So that would mean that that permit would be non-extendable if the work wasn't done. It would come back to the commissioners, and you would then decide how to proceed from there. I think the other items and details have been pretty thoroughly discussed, unless there's something you can think of that I've missed. Of course, if you choose to do that, I'll go through our correspondence with Mr. Moore's attorney and make sure that, should you want something recorded, that we've got a complete list, and run that back through Tom before it's recorded.
Okay. I had maybe two questions. First one, originally what was emailed to us and we discussed last time was more of an August timeline, not September 15th.
Yes.
Timeline.
So my understanding there of what occurred, and again, I wasn't at the meeting, was that they were wanting to complete the building by August 1st and then complete the septic by November 1st. And I think we all had some concerns about not having the septic completed in a similar timeline. So thus, they've moved to a single date of September 15th, which is kind of halfway between those two dates. So the septic install has moved up and the building completion has moved back, but guaranteeing everything be done by September 15th. But that's what happens. The November date would be completely out. That wouldn't no longer be in effect. Septic would be in by September. So they kind of moved the septic forward and the building back. Practically for us, we're not going to issue a C of O unless both are completed. So it doesn't have any great effect on administration.
Second question is maybe more for you, Rodney. At one time, didn't we have some, standards in place of who could install septic? Because I thought on the paperwork he said they were going to install it themselves. Or am I misunderstanding that?
Well,
Or tell me what I need to know. How about that?
anyone that can follow the code and the rules, being it's a homeowner situation, there has been several homeowners that do their own
Okay.
installations. Typically, we're going to have a little more oversight when they do that, just to make sure it goes smoothly. But I've seen some excellent installations from homeowners as well.
Okay, all right. Just needed that verified.
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Weaver, any questions for Liz before I kind of open it up to others in the crowd?
No, I think I'm as good as I can get.
Okay,
In any case, whatever you decide, we'll administrate that for you.
okay.
So
All right.
I'll just move, so if others want to speak, they can, and then I can come back.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
I'll, I guess before that, I will, for the record, acknowledge, I'm not going to read it all. We did receive a letter from a neighbor, Jackie Sheets, who is supportive of Mr. Moore's attempt to remodel the house. So I just want that noted for those on YouTube. We have that here. So I will open it up to, I guess I'll say Mr. Moore's attorney, if there's anything you want to add, and then if there's anyone else that wants to speak after that.
Thank you. For the record, Mike Andrioli, 1393 West Oak Street, Zionsville, representing Mr. Moore. And I think Elizabeth fairly described the correspondence that we've had going back and forth in our commitments. I did talk to her today about the additional opportunity to do to put this in a commitment form as well. The advantage that we have is Mr. Moore actually owns the property. He's no longer a contract purchaser. He actually owns it in fee simple, so he'd be able to sign the commitment. Sometimes the difficulties with regard to a contract purchaser is the owner doesn't want to sign a commitment. He's actually the owner of the property. But in this case, Mr. Moore actually owns the property. So I discussed that with Elizabeth. We both thought that was probably a very good idea. Given the fact this is a single-family structure, not a commercial structure, I don't think we're going to have any problems with getting an engineer to take a look at the inspection report. They didn't indicate that there really was a problem, but they did have a concern as to whether there was one. The advantage of having an engineer with a certificate go ahead and either say, hey, these repairs need to be made, or this structurally is sound, it gives Elizabeth and plant staff an opportunity to say, look, don't argue with us if there's a problem. We had an engineer come in and with a stamp on their letterhead indicating this is structurally sound. So we're happy to go ahead and do that, given the fact it's a single-family home, not a commercial structure, and we don't have any insulation in there yet. We don't have any sheetrock constructed. Any of those repairs should be fairly easy to do in short order if there are any things that we need to do. So this establishes a timeline, and Elizabeth was correct that I talked with staff before about were they concerned about the timeline, or were they concerned about making sure we had a process that was going to make sure that it was going to get done. And they were more concerned with the process than they were the timeline. So I basically tried to move them in the middle so that we could do the septic and do the building permit September 15th and do it all at one time, so there weren't gaps in any of that. Quite frankly, it's a good time to do septic in August and September anywhere with it being dry. That's when I talked with Mr. Moore about that, and he wanted to extend it to November. I said, with October and November, you've got to be digging in the ground. If it's wet, they're not gonna be happy with any extensions on this thing. So I said, we're better off actually doing it at that period of time and being able to get it done. And I think the weather is going to be better, generally speaking, to go ahead and have stuff put in the ground.
Yep.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. We've done all we can do now, I think. And as I said, we did offer the opportunity to put this in commitment form. We're happy to go ahead and do that and have it recorded.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weaver, any questions? Do you have questions for him, or
No,
just comment?
no, just
Okay,
comments
well,
after. Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Mr. or Mr. Cole, would one of you like to say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's notified that vacation on her. She's
Okay,
actually going to
okay.
talk first.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm just simply trying to understand why we're holding his hand through this process when he had the first permit, 6 years ago, 5 years ago?
Probably 2018, I think, was when it was.
And now we're going to hover and make sure this process is complete. And I've had to live next to this process for a set amount of years. And of course, his first project was the roof project. I believe he hired someone, they started that, and of course, as of today, it's still incomplete, and I'm under the understanding that, his attorney said he couldn't touch the property right now, understood, but roof again, incomplete project, but now we're going to hold his hand and get him through the process. Tree trimming. This is when all the stuff started with my husband. We let him use the driveway so we could tear down the tree, and at such time, he got into an argument with someone, scissor lift. Anyway, long story short, tree is still incomplete, rope is still hanging in its place. So, my question is, do you keep holding his hand? Do you demolish the property that is an eyesore to the community, and it is damaging to my property value? I want to invest into my property, and this man has done everything incomplete, as my husband's told you in the past. He is a nuisance to me and my family. And then, of course, if you go ahead with the process and you let him put in the septic system, finish the materials he has in his home, where's he going to put all the stuff he has in the yard right now? And how does he have access to the backyard? Because the way I see it right now, the only access he has is on my side, and it's full of Royal King flags. And on the other side, it's Mr. Eldridge's property. So how does he get back in there with his equipment to do his processes? Just curious. And of course, he's not here. Mr. Eldridge isn't here today, but that's a concern I have.
Well, I would say for the septic, it obviously had to get approved with Rodney or his office. So now the access, that's a
Is
different
he using
question.
shovels? Is he getting back and forth?
It would be a long process with the shovel.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm just
possible,
curious.
I
I see how this guy has worked in the past, so I'm just sort of curious.
Yeah, I would expect there be equipment, but he'll have to have access through his own property to do it. Now, the Board of Health, they're not going to really administer if there's access. It's more of this, just there's the space required to put the septic in. So they just really look at that aspect of it.
Well, I think that he will fail you, and he'll have some of the best plausible excuses. And most likely, it was our fault that's not getting completed, because we hold him accountable on each and every process. So, no matter how you rule today, because of the nuisance Mr. Michael Moore has placed upon myself, my family, and my property value since his arrival in 2018, I will be pursuing litigation in Indiana for Indiana Code 3236-6, and with the accountable loss of up to 10% of my property value. John and I request that you move forward with a demolition for this property.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Weaver. I assume there's no one else that wants to speak on this. Okay, I'll give you a chance here, Mr. Cole.
I won't reiterate too much what she's already said. I have a couple of pictures here that indicate
Thank you.
his DIY ability. And what this is a picture of is because he didn't want to invest in a survey, or not a survey, to get surveyed his corner post, he decides he's going to go out there and just start digging holes willy-nilly. Doesn't matter if it's my property, if it's Clay's property behind us, if it's his property. He had a thought in mind, and this is what he decided he was going to do. My question is, I see flags all along the property line, and when he goes out there, you give him access to a backhoe or a trencher, and he starts trenching out there in between our properties, and he caves in my driveway. I mean, who do I hold responsible for that? Him? Or if you guys go on with this and let him continue on, do I hold him responsible? Do I hold you guys responsible for allowing this to go further? He's had 6 years. And I said last time, he's had several permits. I didn't say 7, I said several permits. They may have been the same permit that has been extended, but he's had several different opportunities to get this thing done. And he's covered up just enough of the house to cover his dogs. And that's obviously that's what he wanted, was a doghouse. And, because that's what he's got. He comes over every day, he moves the dogs from his camper that's sitting there on the property to his house. And I hear him all day long, bark, 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 bark. So he's got a doghouse. He has spent 6 years creating a doghouse. And he brings in a lawyer that's going to sweet talk everybody here and say all of a sudden everything's different because he's got a sweet talking lawyer. I mean, nothing has changed in 6 years. Why do we think now, because he's invested money into a lawyer, that all of a sudden everything's going to be different? I mean, I reiterate what my wife said. I think that we should move forward with the demolition of that house because he is going to let you guys down.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Cole. Okay, Commissioner Weaver, you had some thoughts?
My thought is that, first of all, I hate that we're in this position, period, for both sides. Really puts us in the middle of a battle that I don't really want to be in, to be honest. Obviously, it's my job to protect the neighbors and the community and so forth. And, I want to fulfill that obligation to the best of my ability. But at the same time, it's not up to me to decide to simply tear down somebody's individual property. That's not my desire also. I don't want to have to foreclose or have to condemn a property that somebody has purchased. So to a certain degree, I kind of resent the fact that, we are here doing this today. I'm really torn between which decisions I need to make here. Let me finish. It's difficult when I've personally asked several things to be completed and they've not been completed, and we have been through this for an extended period of time. So that bothers me that we haven't seen a performance. Now, it just so happens that just recently, now that we're up against the wall, we have seen some performance issues taken care of. You have stepped to the fence and done some things. And it's difficult for me to say that you will go ahead and continue those things or not. I'm not real sure when the history hasn't shown that you've done those things. But yet I have talked to several neighbors who feel like you deserve another chance. But yet at the same time, I've got neighbors here who, have struggled for a long period of time. If I make the decision to give you this last chance, I would hate to say that if it doesn't follow through, it's going to get ugly. And I'm not sure right now, Mr. President, if it's a time that we get ugly and pull the strings and stop it, or do we give somebody a one more chance opportunity? I could flip the coin and get it either way, to be honest, at this point. So I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are, because we've not discussed as to which way we want to go.
I think you summarized it well. The challenge I see is if we do grant this and then we get to September 15th and it's not done, but it's 3/4 done, then at that point, what's this? We're going to tear down a house that's now had, X dollars invested in it, in new siding, this and that. I mean, it's really just at that point going to try and be extended, which is I'm adamantly against. It's like, this is a hard deadline. We've kind of said that, once now already, and we've kicked the can down the road. This is our at least 4th meeting where we've had to discuss this topic, and it's kind of to the point where it's like, I'm tired of discussing it because, like you said, really it falls on us, but it's outside of what I would say we need to be doing. This is more of like what Judge Hunter or Judge Mueller needs to be doing. In reality, I mean, that's their job. We didn't sign up to be the judge up here. So it is a tough situation because I think anytime we can avoid using, I'll call it taxpayer dollars, although the money does come from the landfill fund, on tearing a property down, I think, we don't want to do that. Like, that's not our goal. So we would like to keep it on the tax roll, invest in the home, make it better for the community. But yeah, I mean, everything that from a historical perspective has shown that that's not going to happen. And so I think it's I like you said, I could go either way, but I'm not sure, so I don't know.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Moore.
I don't have no problem if I don't make the deadline, you turn it down. I will not argue. But their house is not in the condition they perceive it to be.
But that's
There's-
not
well-
relevant to,
Yeah, we're not
to
here
the
for that.
discussion.
But they're saying that I'm decreasing the value of their property when they have a roof falling in on the house. The garage is falling in, there's a hole in the back corner of it, the roof is ready to fall in. They have raccoons going in and out of the soffit. So it's not like a nice
I
house.
understand what the point you're trying to make, but that's not relevant to this topic, like.
It's relevant to what
and-
they're saying, how
but-
I'm
But that's their
depreciating their
opinion.
value.
We're just taking their opinion of
And- right.
that, like, I mean,
But like I say, September 15th, if it ain't done, I'll walk away. I won't say a word. It's the way it is.
okay.
We take life with struggles and, if you guys go with the September 15th deadline, not a problem. I will be diligent working
Well, to
from
be honest,
sun up to sundown. But 2 years, I've not had a building permit. Cat told me I was not allowed to work on the property at all, do nothing.
Yeah, I understand that.
And so I followed that procedure. What can I do? My lawyer tells me, she said no, it's no. So how can I improve anything in that time, in 2 years, when I cannot get a building permit?
Yes, Liz. Hold on.
I would agree that he could not get a building permit, but I would also note that was not a flat no. What he was told was he needed a septic permit, he needed an engineer to check on the 2 areas. There were some criteria. We did get that septic permit, but not until recently. And no bearing on what you decide, just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure it was clear.
You had,
Yeah, Mr. Moore, what I'd like to hear from you, to be honest, is, I don't want to hear a maybe again. I want to hear from you that you're going to make that deadline, it is going to get done. I don't want to get to September and say, well, it didn't make it and we're out
Yeah.
here again. My answer from you should be, I will get it done, I will do these things, and I will follow through
I
with what
will.
you're saying. And
I'm
I
gonna go-
appreciate the fact you're giving us an extra opportunity.
I'll get the building permit today and I will start today. I mean, that's not an issue.
The other,
And I have another, the person that's gonna help me on the septic is JEH Construction, whom has done a lot of housing in Clinton County and put a lot of septics in. And they've already
Hold on,
approved my
one
septic.
second. One of the additional things is that we've agreed to go ahead and post some type of performance bond. Our goal is to get the structure done, but also give the assurances that if it's not done, there's money available to go ahead and complete the house, as opposed to, and whatever additional costs, I assume, would be borne by that. We've also agreed, and will do so by way of commitment, that all of the materials that are in the house now will be inventoried. I've talked to Elizabeth about that. And those things will stay there and will not be removed from the house. All of that adds value as we're going through this process. The only thing that's not been done to complete it, that we have on site, is the sheetrock. That has not been purchased, and that's not in the house yet, and really shouldn't be until we get all the structural issues 100%. But we've tried to build into the process some assurances so that we don't have to be back here. There's not going to be any issues as far as the commissioners and the county plan department is concerned. So I know there's a lot of issues out there between neighbors, and there's been prosecutions filed against the one individual, and all those things. I told Mr. Moore I wasn't interested in dealing with all of that. If you want to complete the house, you got to complete it. You got to complete it by the deadline, and that's it. Forget about all the collateral stuff. Just get in there and get the house completed. Yep. The rest is all surplusage and arguments between neighbors, and I don't want to get into any of that. I just want to get the darn thing completed if we can, and complete it in a workmanlike manner so it's safe and it improves the neighborhood. And that's my goal, so that you know. He's the one that's actually going to have to do the work, so I understand wanting to get a commitment from him, but I just wanted to share with you, that's my goal in terms of what we're trying to do, not getting the squabbles between neighbors, just get the work done.
Well, my goal for you is to hold him accountable.
And both the building inspectors that you guys had Cat bring out was satisfied with the construction, other than one little, like it's a closet on the southeast side that the roof had come apart on. And they just suggested that that either be completely repaired or completely tore down, which either way I don't have an issue with. But the structure, as far as the floors and the roof and stuff from inside, they were both happy with what was done.
Okay. Commissioner Weaver. Or-
I want to reiterate what I already said before, and that is, who's held responsible for his willy-nilly idea of DIY? I mean, that's the thing is, if you guys do go ahead and grant this, and he starts destroying my property, I've come to the realization that my hands are kind of tied out there, sitting out there in forest. I mean, I try to get a hold of the law enforcement to come out, but there isn't really a whole lot they can do. Who do I hold responsible for that? I mean,
it'd be him. It'd be him through legal channels. No different than,
I mean, and that's
you know,
the thing,
my neighbor does the same
that's
thing.
more money and time that I have, and I've already dealt with this for 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is I've already dealt with this for so has everybody. Everybody's already dealt with this for 6 years. And we've given him deadline after deadline after deadline, and now his lawyer's saying, well, you know, this is a set in stone deadline, and he's had lots of those. And it's just like he's thumbed his nose at this committee because I'm going to be able to do what I want to do, and you guys will just keep extending my deadline. When do we finally draw the line?
Technically, August was the first time it came before the commissioners, right, Liz? Before it was just through the area plan.
Right, we reached the point where,
Yeah.
he wasn't pulling the permit, nor was he working with the health department or anybody else to get to where he could, and we went, we're out here constantly, we need to find some way of creating relief or motivating compliance. So
Well,
that's the point
and
at which
I
it didn't
apologize
do back
for-
at the beginning, but it came back to you again then.
I apologize for saying you all. I mean, when my wife and I started, it started with area plan. But then, of course, it transgressed into the forum that we're at now.
Yeah.
I mean, how much longer, how has the last 6 years been fair to my wife and I?
Probably.
We live right next door to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not 2 houses down, like Jackie Sheets is. We live right next door to it. And the same thing has been said, has the Eldridge's contacted you over the course of this last 6 years?
No, the only parties I'm aware of, and I guess I can't speak for Kat, the only parties I'm aware of are you and your wife, Jackie Sheets, and Mr. Moore, and then other individuals in Forest that we've gotten complaints with out of, this group, so.
On
but
the other
we
side of
haven't-
this property
other people
is
we've
the
talked to
Eldridge's, and they've
haven't
talked about him using their property. They own all the way up to the side of his tree. There is zero room for anything more than a bicycle or a motorcycle in between that tree and the house on the other side. On our side of the house, there's enough for a small vehicle to fit through there. That's what she was talking about with her equipment, getting equipment in there. There's no way for him to, unless he uses Eldridge's driveway, which he's done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues to keep doing it even though they've told him not to. I was told from the Eldridges that they were pursuing putting blockades up there in the front and was told they couldn't do that.
Yeah,
because
and
he was
see, I
using
mean,
their
some of that just kind of falls out what we're looking at, like the access and all that. I mean, that's relevant in the grand scheme of the project, but it's not relevant to our decision making.
No, I mean, I understand that.
I mean,
I
like,
understand
we
that.
give you the deadline and it's his responsibility to figure out how to get it done and get it done legally.
Right. But was he not given a deadline last year?
Yes, he was.
And he didn't complete it?
No.
But now he's got a
Correct.
lawyer and it's going to be completed now this time? I mean, that's my whole point.
Your
behind
point's
this.
valid. I completely understand your point.
Okay. I appreciate your guys' time.
Commissioner, it's back to you.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
time to make a
Yes.
decision one way or
Yeah,
another.
I know.
So we've spent enough time here over the last 8 months.
All right. Liz, on your department. What's your recommendation?
Put me in the same boat. And, I mean, I struggle with the same thing the two of you do. Obviously, and historically, well, those here about this case are very vested in what they each bring in terms of their own experiences and circumstances. Broadly speaking, condemning and tearing down houses is a last point of resort. You know, that's not where we start when somebody doesn't comply with an ordinance or a situation or one of your citations under the unsafe building ordinance. It's where we end up over time. So, you know, we're there at that end of the road. Certainly, if we absolutely knew the house would be fully repaired and on the tax rolls, that's a good thing. You know, I think what we all wrestle with is we don't really want to be back here. You know, speaking for my staff, we're tired of being in and out of this particular group of houses in Forest as well. So to get at least the things that are non-compliant would certainly be a good thing. I can also see both sides of it. I think that if you were to choose to allow a final chance, I do think it would be important to say, because we can't issue a permit today on just a verbal motion. It would be important to say that if you want commitments, if you want a bond, you know, if you want anything like that, maybe it needs to be done before the next commissioners meeting, because if it's not, you know, then that should surely just be a tear down and move on. We don't want a situation where there's an agreement and then it just drags out and, you know, things aren't being completed and thus we can't issue the permit and he can't get started and we're back here with the same, you know, I couldn't work because I couldn't get a permit, and then on our side, well, we couldn't issue the permit because you didn't provide the required things to get that permit. I don't want to keep sitting there.
Your recommendation is what?
Hold on, we don't have to put you on the spot.
I mean, I really don't think, I mean, here's the thing.
I want to ask a question real quick, because, so if we do the performance bond, Tom, from a legal perspective, and he doesn't complete it, and the bond takes place to get the house up to the standard, then who owns the property? Because the bond pays for it, and now he gets the opportunity to sell it.
You could put in the commitments that the property then becomes the commissioners to do with as they wish.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would, the performance bond would therefore be, the performance bond, I think, would therefore be the pay for the improvements, and then it would
Then
be an owner, unless there was some
And he
stipulation.
would keep ownership?
He would keep owner, unless there was some stipulation in the performance bond that it would revert to somebody else.
Yes, he would keep ownership. The problem is that all has to be done correctly. I mean, if the goal is to go ahead and make sure this house is completed according to your rules and your regulations and your ordinances, and it's done safely, eventually, what you want to do then is be in a position to go ahead and make sure it is completed. And the bond will assure that. This is really like a big carrot and with a stick in front of Mr. Moore, because the bottom line is, it's gonna cost him to pay, to get a bond. They may require him to put up full cash collateral. What I've discussed with Elizabeth is that we've got, a lot of the materials have already been purchased and are on site. So we're gonna have to work with her on, okay, how much is the performance bond to complete it? We've agreed that none of the materials will be removed, and those materials can be used for completion of the project in the event he doesn't do the work. We're willing to make that particular commitment. So he loses essentially ownership of that, and that can be used in the performance and the completion of the project. So I guess the devil's in the details. We have no nefarious program here. We're just trying to see if we can make sure we get to the point where we've got a completed house and work with Mr. That happens if he needs to see anything, or Elizabeth. I think her suggestion is a good one in terms of maybe taking the demolition under advisement and not doing that, if you're inclined to work with us to get completed and make sure we do all of the work that she needs to have done, and in her office, the commitments, the bonds, the other things, before the building permit's issued.
See, and I struggle with what if it doesn't happen by the 15th? You know, what then? So the performance bond kicks in place, And
Performance.
we have to go find contractors to finish it.
That's
but
correct.
now it's
That's how it
taken on-
works.
So we find the contractors.
and the
he still
bond
owns
pays.
the property.
The bond pays for it, not taxpayer money. So
Yeah.
that ultimately comes back against him for defaulting
But
on the
now he has
bond.
the opportunity to sell
Sell
his
our
property.
And probably at that point, whoever issued the bond is collecting collateral, whatever that is, because they had to pay out. Because usually bonds are not issued with the goal of paying them. They're issued, as a,
Yeah.
if you fail, we guarantee it
So
situation.
if you really want to put some skin in it, then the performance bond, and if it's not completed, it gets turned over to the commissioners.
Well, sure, that would work too. I don't think, we could certainly name the plan commission as well as the commissioners.
No, just the commissioners is appropriate. So part of why I'm hesitant to give a recommendation is the unsafe building ordinance is a county commissioner ordinance. The area plan commission has chosen to volunteer their staff by mutual agreement to serve the commissioners, but the area plan commission has no state jurisdiction over any kind of condemnations or grass mowing. We're just simply pushing paperwork. So that would need to be the commissioners, and then we would work with them to execute their will.
Haven't gotten to that detail, but we're certainly open to that for sure.
So I think, as much as I don't want to compromise, this would be the compromise that be willing to grant the extension till the 15th of September, which is a Sunday, but works out well because our meeting's on the 17th. So we will know by the 17th of September.
It's done.
Certainly will.
We'll have commitments, we'll have a performance bond, and if it's not completed, then the property gets turned over to the commissioner.
And that should be included in the commitments with the
Correct.
other items that we've corresponded about so that it's
You're talking to-
clear.
Are you talking about the property needs to become the?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it fails to
Yeah,
be.
because there's a performance bond in place. Now this, if he's half done, 60%, whatever, you pick the number, and the performance bond kicks in effect. Now, we have to go find contractors. It kicks it down, the can down the road 2, 3, 4 more months till it gets completed. So this is, I guess Commissioner Weaver has some thoughts, or if he wants to, but that's mine. It's either tear it down or here's what we're willing to do.
Which would also end the conflict, because at that point then,
Yeah.
the county could resolve it.
Yeah, at
and then
that
deal with
point,
it
there's no
from
more
there.
conflict because the
We're not
property
drawn in.
becomes the county's.
Well, I'm not sure I'm willing to commit that the property becomes the county. If you tear it down right now, the property doesn't become the county's. If you go ahead and demolish the property right today, that property still remains titled in my client's ownership. You don't get that property.
It'd just be a lien.
Yep, and if not paid, then it comes through. So the cost of the tear down goes against the property as a tax
Well,
lien.
I understand that. I understand that, but that doesn't mean the property's turned over, which he's already paid for this property. He's bought it, he bought it on contract, and he paid the contract off, and he has it. So the bottom line is, it's an added cost to the property, but he could turn that around and build another house if he has to. It's still his property. So to
But-
turn it over
No.
to the commissioners, as I said,
If he doesn't meet the deadline, you're back on our agenda. And I'm tired of seeing this on the
That's
agenda.
okay. That's okay. So then here's what could happen. Here's the logical things that could happen. You've got a performance bond that you can pull to go ahead and complete.
Yeah, but now we have to do the work. Like, now we have to go find
That was
the
done.
contractors. You're requiring us to do more stuff for something that right now we could simply say tear it down because we've reached the
Over.
point. Like, I
Okay.
threw out the offer that I think I'm willing to consider. Your client, or you can accept or decline, but if not, we'll just vote to tear it down.
If we tear it down, all you're talking about is the lot.
Better off having-
You place a lien on the lot, and you can foreclose on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you can still get ownership of it.
Give up
just
your-
through a foreclosure action. The motion to enforce the lien.
Yeah. I agree with, I think we're on track. Yes.
I'll allow one more. We've spent enough time, and then I'm gonna move.
I just want to, my name's Jackie Sheets. I live 2 doors down
Yep. you
to
sent
the
the
east,
letter,
to the,
right?
correct,
Yep.
yes. I just want to point out, I bought my house in '05. that there was an older couple that lived there. They moved within the first 5 years, less than that. So, well, my point is over 15 years, this are not now, but this property sat empty. We all watched it go to complete ruins. Mike Moore is the first person to come in and buy it and do anything with it since I've been there. But not only did it was abandoned, but also the yard, 6 foot of weeds year after year, the whole lawn. I mean, nobody said anything. This is not the worst eyesore we've had to look at there, is what my point is. We're already in a national housing shortage anyway, and it's Clinton County as a whole has their own issues with people finding housing. We're that close to having it done. I just think he deserves a chance.
We're willing to give him a chance.
I just want to say that part's been overlooked. We keep hearing about everything he's not, and this isn't the worst it's been. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
One additional comment. If the commissioners are dead set on doing it this way, which I am opposed to having somebody give their property up, especially since we have to pay money to put full cash collateral for a bond, and then we lose the property as well.
But the problem is if he doesn't complete
I'm
it,
just telling my point of view on this. I'm categorically against that. But what we would do, and I've talked with my client, is it's against my better judgment, but he would be willing to go ahead and execute a deed and put it in the escrow, transferring this property to the county, and work out an agreement with Mr. Little, transferring the property to the county, subject to him going ahead and getting it done under the timelines of the 15th. We don't want to put up a bond in that situation. We'll just give the property to the county. We will agree to all of the materials kept inside, and we will not remove any of the materials, which adds probably another 30% of the value of the completion of that house, because the materials have already been bought and are there. And I think talking to Elizabeth, she wants to inventory those to make sure that they're quality materials and insulation is correct. And that way, in that situation, if you don't complete, you have the property. You can complete it, you can sell it, it would be escrowed to the county.
okay,
But I don't want to do both.
understand.
Give you the property and we put up a performance bond, that's simply not going to happen. I'm sorry, I can't allow my client to do that. Thanks.
I actually would note to some degree in agreement, if the county's going to take ownership of the property, that ends all dispute at that point. The commissioners can then choose to sell it at the point that it is, or to contract it out, or to tear it down, but it's then the commissioner's property. So I would actually view that as a much stronger collateral than a bond is, because there is no way out of it, and you don't have to make a decision. I mean, you're going to have the deed if he doesn't perform in any case, and then you can decide from there to what you want to do with it, but then he's not doubly penalized by having you draw a bond against him when he no longer has the collateral that probably is
And my
securing
thought
that.
was, if you had to go ahead and tear everything down, yeah, he still owns the underlying property, but now he's lost all the money he's invested in it, and he's got an additional debt of what it's going to cost to tear it down, because that'll be a debt that'll be assigned to the property itself. So I think my suggestion in talking with him might be a better one for everybody, including him, to be able to not have to do the bond, but recognizing that even if you tore it down tomorrow, that's going to be a cost, and he loses all the other money that he put in it. He may not be able to afford to use it anyway and rebuild.
It also guarantees,
Sense.
for the neighbors who have, there's been a significant timeline here in whatever's been going on between all the property owners in that area, but it does guarantee that they're, if it's not completed, and thus it's no longer sitting there in its current form, then there's a new owner, and the commissioners can decide what their pleasure is from there.
Yep. Tom, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Setting it up that way?
Yep.
Okay. I think I I would be fine with that. We'll go that route with the commitments.
Yeah,
Doing
put that
with
commitments and then
escrow.
work out the escrow arrangement with Tom.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I would ask then that you, one last time, continue the bids and give them until the next commissioners meeting to work with me and Tom to get all that paperwork in order and everything sorted, because I don't want to get in a situation where we're here 3 months from now and we still don't have it sorted. If they're serious on their side, I'm going to be in the office unless there's something I don't know, Tom's, available. So I don't see any reason we can't have documents prepared and ready by the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll continue motion to continue the bids, as well as a motion to accept the terms to put the property into escrow with commitments that it'll be completed by September 15th as the hard date. You're agreeable to that, Mr. Moore?
Yes, yes.
Okay. How about you go to the podium and tell me yes there, so I have it on YouTube.
Yeah, as I said, September 15th, I don't have a problem with the date, the deadline,
In all the other terms?
and all the other terms.
Okay, all right, very good.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you. Is that a motion, Bert?
Yes.
All right, motion, second, 2-0. So,
Motion?
two motions. Yep.
Gotcha, all right.
And Mr. Moore, you need to understand, we don't want your property. We don't want to be here. But you can't offend and you can't do the things that you have been doing. It's got to change.
What is your next meeting, Mr. President?
The 3rd of April.
Thank you.
Yeah, a little over 2 weeks. All right, we'll move on now. Envoy, I have 2 envoy payouts.
So there's 3.
I have 3 envoy payouts. Okay. First pay app is for the, it's $109,901.77. It's going to be for the courthouse. Then the second one is for $642,720.91. It is for the annex. And the last one is for $56,688.32.
Motion to pay all 3 of the annex statements to Envoy.
Okay. Annex and courthouse pay ups, so motion carries 2-0 on that. Keep moving on. Next item is this was Commissioner Ewitz had sent it to us, but I'll just kind of summarize. It got missed in the inspection when we had Corson due for a countywide for fire and security. It's just at the fairgrounds, checking the emergency and exit lights as part of that inspection, $120 annually. So
Motion to pay.
adding that to it. All right. Motion carries 2-0 to add that to the contract with Corson's. All right, next item, we're moving to new business here. Every year, as part of the Wildcat Solid Waste District, we have an appointment to that. That appointment comes recommended from the towns. It had been a gentleman, the towns made a different recommendation for this year, and that is, Liz maybe could have added more, but she's out there, so I'm kind of winging it here a little bit. Matt Coomer was the recommendation from the town's annual meeting they had at the end of January, February, so we need to either accept that appointment or come up with someone else if we'd rather, so.
Motion to accept the recommendation of the Wildcat Waste District to Matt Coomer.
Okay, motion carries 2-0 on that. The next item is our building corporation. We have an appointment for that. Those are 3-year terms, is that correct? And Mike Sexton had been on there, and his appointment was up, 3 years were, so we need to reassign him to the building corporation.
Motion to accept and reassign Mike to another 3-year term.
Motion carries 2-0. Okay, next item is the Gibson Software Assurance quote. Remind me, Jerry, what this was for for our phones, for our phone software here at the courthouse. So it's an annual agreement to do the updates and get the software all ready to go. So I'll entertain a motion for that. The amount is $503.83.
Motion.
Oh, hold on, and there's two. Oh, and then, that's the first one. The second one is $2,925.81.
Motion to approve both of the Gibson software quotes.
Okay, motion carries 2-0. Next, we have two sign placement requests. The first one is from New Beginning Ministry for their pork chop dinner. It is, the date of the event is April 20th, and the sign will be up there for 14 days.
Motion to approve placement.
All right, motion carries 2-0. The next one is for Paul Philippi for their Strawberry Festival, their senior center fundraiser. The date of the event is on June 7th.
Motion to approve the Paul Philippi placement.
Okay, motion carries 2-0 on that. All right, department heads. We lost some. There's still some here. Anyone want to go? Nope, see none? Oh, this is a first in my time here. No department heads.
We wore them out.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, we'll move on to commissioner reports. Do you have anything, Commissioner Weaver, that you'd like to bring up?
Other than, like Rick said, we met with the solar panel people, and they had agreed to blacktop pretty much 10 miles of road surrounding the various locations, and we're very interested in getting it done right. So they were get ready to do it, and they'll probably start as soon as it warms up a little bit.
And note, I should have said it when it was Rick here. That's to county specs. So
Yes.
Rick has been in talks and putting those roads back to the county required roads.
That's correct.
So that's important to note.
And they're more than interested in getting that done. And like he said, donating all of the stone from the, what I call the landing zone, which is huge.
Yep.
We can use that gravel all the way around us.
Yep. Okay. Any other items?
No, that's good.
Okay. I have one just with a little discussion point, and then maybe even to make a decision on, is related to the solar eclipse.
Good point.
There's some school closures, other communities, and kind of what our plan is here. We've started to get questions. I believe the date is April 8th. Sound right? Okay. April 8th. So I guess I would throw out the idea that the courthouse close at 1 o'clock. I had reached out to Stephanie as well as the judges, because there was some election stuff in terms of early voter registration deadlines, and the state had kind of said if you close, they'll extend it till the 9th, and so that seemed like it would be a good option for her office. And in talking to the judges, they felt like closing would be good for the courts as well. So that was the feedback I had received. If you're open to that idea.
Very much open to it, so I'll make the motion that we close the courthouse at 1 o'clock in any other department that's not in an emergency standby.
Okay. All right. Motion carries 2-0. We'll get an email out, Jerry will, to everyone, let them know.
And if it's a cloudy day, we'll probably go ahead and work, is that?
Should probably. Okay, moving on, claims. I have them here. We have claims dated March 15th in an amount of $12,773.45. Biweekly claims dated March 19th in the amount of $466,889.76. And court claims dated March 19th in the amount of $13,693.03.
Motion to approve claims.
Okay, motion carries 2-0 on the claims. We have payroll dated February 23rd in the amount of $533,127.89.
Motion to approve payroll.
All right, motion carries 2-0 on payroll. And last, we have minutes from our regular meeting on March 5th.
Motion to approve minutes.
All right, minutes approved 2-0. Next meeting, as mentioned, is April 3rd. Is there any other business that needs to come before us? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, thank you.
So not 20 minutes.
This